Since a lot of you guys appreciated the fact that we covered a bunch of the physical PlayStation 4 game deals that were available last week, we'll try to cover them more regularly, and here we're doing it again. We're looking at 10 awesome physical PlayStation 4 game deals that are available right now. Let's get through all the fluff and get right into it, and we'll start off by quickly mentioning a couple of games that I mentioned in the last video because it was such an insane deal. But if you guys missed that video, over on Target's Cartwheel app, you can get Shadow of the Colossus 50% off to just $9.99. That's an insane deal, one of the better PlayStation 4 exclusives of 2018. I know a lot of you guys pointed towards games like God of War and Marvel Spider-Man, but Shadow of the Colossus was up there, and yes, it is a remake of the PlayStation 2 game, but Blue Point Games did a phenomenal job with this remake, and it's a full-on remake. This is not a remaster. Right away, when you look at this game, you will immediately tell that from a technical standpoint, this is one of the best PS4 games ever released, and the gameplay still holds up really well. Back in the day when Shadow of the Colossus was released, it was received very well, but the only complaint was from a technical side. Of course, now on the PS4, that has been completely remedied, and for just $9.99 through the Cartwheel app, it's an awesome deal. Also, through the app, you can get Detroit Become Human 50% off for $19.99. That's a very good deal as well. That's the standard price we've been seeing Detroit go on sale for, but still a very good deal. And this is another PS4 exclusive where I think any other year, if there weren't games like God of War and Spider-Man released that were just so good, Detroit Become Human would have been heralded as one of the best PlayStation 4 games of the year, but because it just had so much competition, it kind of fell a little bit lower on the totem pole, but it's still a very good game, especially if you want a quality story out of your games. Of course, that is what Quantic Dream is gonna offer. So through the Cartwheel app, you can get Shadow of the Colossus and Detroit Become Human. Those are great deals. They also have Knack 2. I'm not gonna give that a standout recommendation, but if you want it, that's available for $9.99 as well. Moving on from that, also want to quickly give another mention to Valkyria Chronicles for the launch edition. That's available on Amazon for $25.85. That's a great deal for VC4. This is without a doubt the cheapest I've seen the game for. Typically on sale on the PlayStation Store, we've been seeing it hover around $29.99. So this physical version is a little bit cheaper than that even, and you do get a pretty cool controller skin with the launch edition. So that's nice. The game itself is awesome. Doesn't really revolutionize on top of Valkyria Chronicles 1, but it really doesn't need to, given the fact that the fundamentals that Valkyria Chronicles put in place still work so well. You've got a quality story in here, and it does add a couple of new nuances like a new class. So that's great, but if you enjoyed VC1, VC4 is going to be right up your alley as well. Moving on from that, Newegg has got a fantastic deal on the Crash Trilogy and Spyro Reignited Trilogy bundle. Remember, you get both bundles with this collection, so 6 games in total. Typically goes for $59.99, but Newegg has the price slashed to $39.99. That is a great deal, and that's typically the price Spyro Reignited Trilogy goes for, so to get both of these trilogies for $39.99, that is awesome. The Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy was received very well last year, and while that was a very good collection for Crash, I would say the Spyro Reignited Trilogy is even better just because the remaster job in that trilogy was exceptional. It's really a remake more than a remaster. The games look phenomenal and hold up today, now in 2019. Whether you're just looking to revisit the games or you want quality platformers and you never played these games in your life, they're good for anyone, and they're just very accessible games. However, I do want to mention that if you are just looking to pick up Spyro the Reignited Trilogy, Amazon does have that down to $29.99. Not that great of a deal, but I know a lot of you guys might already own Insane Trilogy because it has been out for a little while, so wanted to give a mention to that as well. We'll leave links to both of those in the description box down below, but that Crash Trilogy and Spyro Reignited Trilogy bundle is an awesome deal. $39.99 for that. Moving on from that, Best Buy has got a couple of great deals right now, and I want to give a mention to Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. That is $10 off, down to $19.99. This was a game that I played all the way back on release when it came out in February of last year, and it was a game that I actually enjoyed quite a bit, given the fact that the Sword Art Online games haven't been really anything special, but Fatal Bullet being set in the world of Gun Gale Online and having a more third-person shooting element to it, I thought it added another spice to it, and Fatal Bullet is definitely a better game than the previous Sword Art games. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. It gets pretty repetitive. However, if you are a fan of Sword Art, this is without a doubt the best game that's been released in the franchise so far. It wasn't worth the initial, $49.99, $59.99 price point. Now that it's down to $19.99, if you're a little open-minded, if you're a fan of Sword Art Online, this is one that's worth a pickup. Moving on from that, South Park The Fractured But Whole is $10 off at Best Buy. It is down to $19.99, so this is a pretty good buy for South Park The Fractured But Whole, a game that's relatively held up in price, given that, it's 15 months old at this point, but it is a pretty good game. Obviously, everyone loves South Park The Stick of Truth, and I think the general consensus with The Fractured But Whole is that it's not quite as good of a game as Stick of Truth, However, The Fractured But Whole is still a very good game. It still retains all of that quirky humor, and it retains a lot of the quality from Stick of Truth. I just think it doesn't have that surprise factor that Stick of Truth had. Stick of Truth, no one was really expecting going into it to be such a great RPG, but it turned out so good. With Fractured But Whole, naturally the expectation level was just gonna be a little bit higher. However, if you enjoyed the Stick of Truth or you just want a comedic RPG, The Fractured But Whole will definitely have you covered, and $19.99 is a great buy for that. Speaking of which, another Ubisoft game that's held up in value quite a bit is Watch Dogs 2. That is down to $19.99 over at Best Buy, and this is a game that released all the way back in November of 2016, so over 2 years old at this point, and paying $20 for a game that's north of 2 years old, that is a little bit surprising. Still hovers around that $29.99 to $39.99 mark normally. $20 for Watch Dogs 2, however, is very good. Watch Dogs 1 was one of the heavily anticipated games early on in this generation. However, I think most would agree with that game, it was pretty disappointing. But Watch Dogs 2, Ubisoft really went back to the drawing board, added a lot to the game, added a lot more variety, made the world better, made the story better, the characters better. Everything about Watch Dogs 2 is much better than the first Watch Dogs, and I often compare Watch Dogs 2 to Assassin's Creed 2, in that you remember how the first Assassin's Creed game was a little bit disappointing, but then Ubisoft came back with Assassin's Creed 2, and they just revamped and retooled the game completely. That's very resemblant of what they did with Watch Dogs 2 as well. Unfortunately, it seems like Watch Dogs 2 hasn't really reached a lot of commercial success. I don't really know why that is. However, if you like the fundamentals, if you like the premise of Watch Dogs 1, give Watch Dogs 2 a look, as I do think it's going to surprise you. $19.99 for that at Best Buy is a pretty good deal. And I'll be rounding out the video by taking a look at some deals on some very recent game releases, and all of these deals are coming from Amazon. First up, we have Darksiders 3 for $39.99. That's $20 off from its initial $59.99 price point. Now, Darksiders 3 was a game that I was really excited for. I've talked very highly about Darksiders 1 and 2, and those games are playable on the PS4. They're very good on the PS4 as well, so I'd give those a high recommendation. Darksiders 3 was the latest game in the franchise, and it did have some gameplay issues. However, if you really enjoyed Darksiders 1 and 2 and you've been eager to pick up Darksiders 3, maybe that $59.99 price point was just a bit too high. $39.99 is definitely a more palatable price point. However, I do see in the near future that this game is going to get cheaper and cheaper. It seems to me that it's not doing that well from a sales standpoint, so I could see by, say, summertime that this is in the bargain bin for south of $19.99. I wouldn't be all too surprised with that. But again, if you've been eager to check it out, $39.99 isn't a bad price point. Just go into it with a moderate level of expectations. Don't go into it expecting an exceptional action-adventure game, because you're not going to find that here. But definitely a nice game to add to the Darksiders franchise. Moving on, we've got Soul Calibur 6, which is down to $39. Soul Calibur 6 is one of the best fighting games of this generation, and that says a lot, because fighting games this generation, you could make an argument that this has been the best generation for fighting games. We've had games like Dragon Ball FighterZ, the BlazBlue titles, Injustice 2. We've had Tekken 7. There have just been so many high-quality fighting games this generation, but now the standard has been set that you have to deliver a quality single-player component as well and make it accessible for everyone. Soul Calibur 6 really offers a lot of content for your money. Obviously, the customization is super deep, and mechanically, it's one of the best fighting games that you're gonna come across. There's a lot of longevity to the game, and of course, for a lot of people, just of the fact that Geralt of Rivia is in the game is gonna be a selling point with its own. Of course, Geralt from The Witcher. But if you want a high-quality fighting game, Soul Calibur 6 is one of the best options that you're gonna come across, and now that it's down to $39, not the cheapest that it's been, mind you. I've seen it as low as $35, but that was during Black Friday. That is, of course, come and gone. $39 for the game, you're getting a high-quality fighting game at a very good price. Would give it a recommendation. Lastly, speaking of fighting games, this one definitely not of as high of a quality, but it's going to cater towards a certain audience, and that is My Hero 1's Justice. It is down to $38.76. Now, I wanted to give this a recommendation coming from someone that is a gigantic fan of My Hero Academia. That anime just completely surprised me with its quality. Came across to me initially like a generic shonen, but then it developed into something so much more, and it really captivated a lot of people, so it was only natural that at some point it was going to make the transition into the video game realm, and My Hero 1's Justice was its first offering. And what can I say about it? Well, if you're a fan of My Hero, there's a lot to like here. It's a lot of fan service. However, if you're not a fan of My Hero, absolutely stay away. The single player just kind of throws you in the middle of the story with no explanation, and the multiplayer is a lot of fun. However, fundamentally, it is a little bit bare bones, so if you're expecting this complex, in-depth fighting game like a Soul Calibur, you're not getting that here. What you are getting is a super stylish game that again is going to offer you a lot of fan service, and that's who My Hero 1's Justice is for. It's for fans of My Hero Academia. And if you are a fan, I can give it an easy recommendation. At $59.99, again, it was a little bit hefty of a price point. $38.76, definitely an easier price to recommend it at. The single player campaign is going to last you around 6 to 7 hours, so it's not that sizable of an experience, but pretty good. And if you have a couple of friends to constantly play this game with, that's going to offer a lot of added longevity. So that's going to conclude this video. Again, links to all of these will be in the description box down below. We hope that you're enjoying us covering physical PS4 game deals more and more, and if you guys enjoy these videos, give it a like, and let us know in the comment section down below, and we will continue to do these on top of the digital deals that we always cover when those go live. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.